We see concrete everywhere. We think of it as, well, concrete. It's the definition of solid, the very foundation of our modern world. But what if I told you that this incredible material has a secret weakness, a hidden flaw that, if you ignore it in the first few moments, could compromise the entire structure? Let's dig in and uncover it. So, what is this critical secret? What's the one thing that separates a structure that stands for a century from a pile of rubble? The answer, you might be surprised to hear, is incredibly simple, but it is absolutely crucial. It all comes down to trapped air. Yup, air. When concrete is poured, it's just full of these tiny air bubbles. And these little pockets of nothing are the ultimate enemy of strength. Get this, just 5% of trapped air can reduce the concrete's final strength by up to 30%. They create all these hidden weak points and stop the concrete from ever being as strong as it could be.
Now, getting that air out sounds easy, but it's a real delicate balancing act. You can't just shake it around and hope for the best. There are two major ways to get this completely wrong, and honestly, both are equally damaging.
And here they are, the two paths to failure. On one hand, you can undervibrate it. You don't do enough and you leave behind all those destructive air bubbles. This creates a weak, pockmarked surface that we call honeycomb. But if you get a little too enthusiastic, you can overvibrate it. This shakes the mix so violently that the heavy stuff sinks and the light stuff floats to the top. That's a huge problem called segregation, and it completely destroys the concrete's uniform strength. So let's look a little closer at honeycombing. This is what happens when the cement paste fails to get into all the tiny gaps between the stones and sand. And believe me, this isn't just a cosmetic issue. Those ugly voids you see on the surface, they're often hiding much bigger weaknesses deep inside the concrete, flaws that are basically impossible to fix later on. And then we have its evil twin, segregation. Vibrate it for too long, and the mix literally just falls apart. All the heavy rocks sink to the bottom, and you get this weak, sandy layer of cement and water at the top. So instead of one solid, strong material, you've got this layered, inconsistent mess that's compromised from the moment it's poured. Okay, so we know the problems. Don't do too little, don't do too much. How in the world do we find that perfect middle ground? Well, the solution is all about understanding the science of what's actually happening when we stick a vibrator into that fresh mix. This is the core principle right here. It's almost like magic. The intense energy from the vibrator temporarily liquefies the concrete. For just a few moments, it transforms from this thick, heavy sludge into a fluid, which gets rid of all the friction between the particles. And that temporary liquid state, that is the key to everything. Because when it's in that liquid state, everything just falls into place perfectly. Those lighter air bubbles, they just float right up to the surface and escape. The solid particles all settle together, getting as dense as they possibly can. The mix flows snugly around any steel rebar, creating an unbreakable bond. And the result? A beautiful, smooth, professional finish. Okay, the theory is cool, but success really comes down to execution. So let's get practical. Mastering this is all about following a very precise technique for how you insert the vibrator, how long you keep it in, how you pull it out, and how you space your insertions. So here is the 4-step method. First, rapid insertion. You let the vibrator sink vertically into the concrete under its own weight. Don't force it. Second, proper duration. Hold it in place for about 5 to 15 seconds. But the real trick is to watch the surface. When the big bubbles stop coming up, you're done. Third, slow withdrawal. Pull it out slowly, maybe an inch per second. If you yank it out too fast, you'll just create a brand new air pocket. And finally, be systematic. Overlap your insertion points so you know you've covered every single inch. Let's just boil it down to some simple do's and don'ts. Do, plunge the vibrator vertically, straight down. Don't drag it sideways like a rake. Do, let the concrete tell you when to stop. As soon as those bubbles cease, it's time to move on. Don't keep vibrating after the mix has settled. And for spacing, think of it like mowing a lawn. You always do overlap your passes to get full coverage. Look, mastering this one simple technique might seem like a small detail in a big project, but the payoff, it is absolutely enormous. We're talking about the fundamental strength, the quality, and the long-term durability of whatever it is you're building. I mean, the impact of proper compaction is just staggering. You're looking at a massive jump in strength, a huge boost in durability against weather and wear, and a vastly improved surface. Every single quality you want in concrete is enhanced simply by getting the air out the right way. There's a saying in the construction world that just sums this all up perfectly. The final strength of concrete is determined in the first few moments of its placement, not weeks or years later while it's curing. The integrity of a foundation, a wall, or a bridge is locked in right there during those first critical seconds of vibration. So the secret is out. True strength in concrete isn't about some complex chemical formula. It's about mastering a simple physical process. It's about understanding that one hidden flaw, trapped air, and knowing the precise technique to release it. Now you know how to build not just with concrete, but with confidence. So the only question left is, what will you create?